Testing. Testing, testing. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
There we go. I'm gonna turn this off. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. I'm thinking so too. Oh, much better.
Or should we go on the other side because they're gonna flip through? So, just thinking about the way she set this up.
We have the technology.
Three great bright minds.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Oh. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello.
Gary, can you hear us?
Oh. There we go. This is nice. Got the fancy one, Risa.
Nothing but the best. Right?
Make sure everything's cute so it doesn't there. And then we might need to keep our eye if we have to help.
Well, let me stand up here. So if we go from a mic to me, that's fine. Joan comes across pretty loud too. So, and then if Mike was up there, kind of about your size.
Oh, you don't want to do it from there. This guy is the one. Oh, gotcha. Okay. I think testing 1, 2, 3.
So, because I figured, that way they can go down this way with the papers, and then we have this, or should we?
This seems very logical.
And then just flipping through.
Yep. So Mike starts off with the agenda.
Yes.
Okay. And then
Mike's the opening, and then we go to Lori, Jeff, Eli, Joan, Brian, Al, Mike. But I figured they're flipping, or
cool. Yep. So I think that's
they can flip and just
easy.
Or should we go all the way over? But then that doesn't leave us any space for that.
I think this works out pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're not pulling with a lot of force.
How does our picture look like that?
Yeah. Oh, here you go. We got the subtitles going.
Awesome.
Should I go down one click or?
Let me stand up here.
Oh, yeah. This will be a slide.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because you're right there. It's hard. Mike's a little bit taller. I think Brian's a little taller too. All right, here's reset.
Here's a tiny little person.
Can we get you a box? You think I should go down one click, Brian, or you think that's pretty good?
I think it's kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Because I think Mike's that's John level and Mike level.
Oh, I think it's not bad too.
There's a list up here. You're going to introduce Brian. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Can anybody in the audience tell me if you have hearing aids that have the T coil? So can you make sure those are activated? I want to make sure that the hearing loop is working. Okay, thank you.
Good morning.
And are we, I guess, good morning. Welcome to Fireside Chat. Where is everybody? We got empty seats. Well, the important people are here, but there are other people who need to be here too, right? Oh, there wasn't a time. It's always at the same time. So hopefully that's something we remember, but apparently not everybody. Okay. Well, anyway, we have, as always, lots of things to cover. I'll have some opening remarks. Lori will talk a little bit about COVID updates, and Jeff from Dining Services on some updates there. Eli on construction. This is when you bring out all the tomatoes and start throwing it at him when you don't like what you hear. I think he probably has good news, so it's okay. Joan will have some communication updates. Jeff Graham and Ruth Ann will talk a little bit about partners in caring. Brian Holtz will talk about safety and security, which is, that's kind of an ongoing conversation, right? It's concerning to all of us. So we're going to be spending more and more time on that topic. Valerie will introduce some new residents, and Celerina Powell will talk about some new staff info, and then I'll circle back around with some other announcements and bright spots. But while we're going to have the announcements of some staff folks, I do want to mention that we did have a sale on Andrews last week. We have 2 Andrews that are joining. Normally the sale has always been on Brian's, but now we have had a sale on Andrews. So we have Andrew Harris, who is one of our new sales and marketing director and manager, and he joined a week or so ago and is getting acclimated. So if you see him going around picking up breadcrumbs to find his way back to his office, you'll know why he's doing that. Andrew Hill is joining as our wellness person, and he takes over for Ryan, who has moved to somewhere in Iowa or Ohio? Ohio. That part of the country is not my area. But we miss Ryan, and we're going to welcome Andrew, and that's going to be fun. So I'm glad that is coming together. I had 3 topics that I wanted to touch on today: community, inflation, and resident expectations. They kind of sort of relate, but the first one on community, I'm noticing a little bit more activity, a little bit more fun going on, and that's just so critical to our overall feeling of a sense of community. And I know that spaces make a big difference in that. When we don't have Anderson Hall, well, then that's just one less space that we can go to. But we want to make do as well as we can with being outdoors when the weather is reasonably cool. using this space as we can. That Anderson Hall will be back online in that late October, early November timeframe. So that'll be good. The Sky Lounge is available after 3:30. They're still doing some stuff. And of course, we ordered these blinds, and the blinds are both a combination of sheer and blackout, depending on the time of day. And, they delivered them. And of course, they delivered them, in boxes. That's fine. Except the forklift forks went through the box and, of course, damaged the blinds. So now we have to reorder those again. And of course, it only takes 6 months, right? So you can see this is a supply chain issue. I'm going to touch on that again in a minute. But, so you make progress and then you step back, and that's kind of our way of life. So anyway, I think we all want to have more get-togethers. We're going to do some more happy hours. I know the residents groups are going to do some of those. We're going to do some. So we get people together and have some fun and not just feel like we're kind of oppressed with some of the things that we can't control. Speaking of things we can't control, inflation. So inflation, I'm not an economist, but I know a couple of things about inflation. And you do too, right? You go to the store and the prices are higher. And I think it's impacting everybody. The thing about inflation is we talk a lot about the inflation rate. And so you'll read in the paper about, the inflation rate is stabilizing. It's not going to be increasing. And what that means is that and perhaps this is true, that we're not going to have continued 9% year over year, month by month. Like in June, we had a 9% increase. Now maybe we don't have that 9% increase in August. And so the marketplace goes, okay, great. The rate of inflation might be coming down. It's under control. But inflation is largely a step function, meaning that once you get the increase, it doesn't come back down. It might be good news that it's not continuing to go up at a fast rate, but it's a step function up. And especially in a labor-driven organization like ours, when you give people increases in compensation to help deal with rising prices, you don't go back to people and say 6 months later, hey, guess what? We can take the money back now. No, it's a step function. It goes up and it stays there. What that means is our cost structure goes up permanently. We're welcoming not having a continued increase rate, but the step function is real. Let me put it into perspective. Our peers around us, Skyline in particular, increased their monthly service fees 4% in October. They go October to September. We go January to December. We increased our rates 4.5%. Effective August 1, their rates go up another 8.1%. So they have now been over 12% in a 12-month period. Our goal is we will stay at our 4.5% through the year and not spring something new. And you've heard me say this before. Our goal is to get to the necessary profitability margin to support our current and future debt without doing so on the backs of residents. We're not looking to just say, well, we'll just keep increasing our fees to our residents. And at the same time, we do know that we will have to have higher increases. So I'm just giving you the mental preparation for January of 2023, that we will have higher increases. We don't know what that is yet. We will do everything we can to keep that as modest as possible. We don't want to have you experience this, and we don't want you to experience this. But we also have to deal with the fact that inflation affects us and primarily our staff, because that's where the increases should go and need to go. And 72% of our expenses are our staff. So that's where the bulk of it is. And let's see, on resident expectations, we're in a goofy time and it's complicated, right? And we all want things to go back to the way it was. I don't know that it's going to go back to the way it was. I don't think that the labor market is ever going to go back to what it was, which means that organizationally, we have to figure out ways to be less labor intensive in a labor intensive business. So that means that we do the things we can with technology so that we can avoid having labor deal with technology things that can be solved with technology, and we have people dealing with things that only people can deal with. You'll see more of that. And it's the only way in which senior living is going to be able to survive in the long run, is to make that distinction, be smart about it, and be able to adapt as we go forward. We're going to continue to have supply chain issues for a while, whether it's the blinds in the Sky Lounge or it's different food products we can't get. And, of course, we want you to tell us when things aren't right and aren't working, but be sensitive and appreciative of the fact that some of these things we can't control. And if we can't get a certain product and we have to substitute it out for something else, it's not because we're trying to skimp or get away with something. It's because we can't get something. And this is true across, not only things you experience day to day, but in our build out cost. When we go to build out apartments, when people vacate apartments, the time it takes to renovate is longer. Not because our contractors are slower, but because they can't get the cabinets. They can't get the carpet. They can't get the this. They can't get the that. It's just the nature of our operation at this time. The other, as I touched on, is that labor or the labor shortage. And I really don't think that's going to go away. We're just going to have to get smarter and better about it. And the pressure then that you experience is things, well, gosh, that wasn't as clean as it used to be, or this wasn't done, whatever. Well, we're going to have to jockey that around and figure out how to prioritize so that your experience is good and we can do it with the people who are here and available. There's also a bunch of COVID delays. So, there's COVID, the virus that we are all affected by, protocols and whatever to keep everybody safe. But there's also COVID-related delays. So a good example is that we have a couple of key contractors who have come down with COVID or their staff has. Well, then that means they're not here to do what they need to do because they got to be home for 3 weeks. That happens with our staff. So we get those interruptions that are caused by COVID, even though we're out of the maybe emergent situation, we're still feeling the effects of when COVID hits any of our staff or our providers, and it slows things down. So I just bring this up so that everyone is aware and appreciative that we're operating within some crazy constraints, and our staff is really doing the best they can. They really are, and I hope you know that. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't call out something that is just plain egregiously wrong. It's just use some discernment as to when it's meh, you know what? I can live through that versus, I better tell somebody this is ridiculous. Okay. So hopefully that makes some sense, and we will march along and things will go well. So far, so good, notwithstanding these constraints. That's that. Okay. Next is Lori with COVID updates.
Good morning. Before some COVID updates, I have to give a shout out to the Resident Planning Committee for the fantastic annual picnic. Wow. And a tremendous thank you to Oliver and Jeff and the entire food services team who did a wonderful, wonderful job in supporting this picnic event. It was terrific. Really a joy to see all of you there. In terms of COVID, along with the day where I don't have to be here talking about COVID updates, but as Mike has been sharing, it is still very much with us. It's manageable. However, the workload remains the same in triaging and following up. As of today, I am pleased to share that we are down to 2 residents, independent living residents in the recovery phases. And we also have 2 assisted living staff members who have been affected with COVID. I will share that what I am seeing amongst most of the residents who are contracting COVID, primarily following travel and gatherings outside with families, reunions. This is a very popular time for family reunions, people to come together. So my advice is when you travel, please gear up. Is really your best protection, is gearing up, especially in the close quarters of the airports and airplanes would be my best advice. The guidance is also very clear and strongly recommending that everyone continue testing before gatherings, whether they are outdoors or indoors. It is our best protection to catch on the spot if anybody may be positive before joining others when masks could be down for gatherings, food, drink, etc. So I want to talk about what does happen if you get that exposure to COVID. And just review, we've gone through this before, but I think it's important to continue reviewing what are the steps to take if you have been exposed. If you've had an exposure, please call me, email me, whatever is easiest, and I'm happy to talk you through the steps. But some key things is if you are up to date with your vaccinations. CDC has recently changed the definition of up to date. That now means you have received, if you are 50 and better, your second booster. That is what qualifies as being up to date. So that means if you are up to date, you are not required to quarantine and stay in your apartment if you have had all of your boosters. You want to make sure you test on day 5 after exposure. And it is imperative that every single one of you have some home test kits on hand. I am still getting some calls from residents who haven't taken advantage of the free test kits that are available through federal and state programs. The links for those have been listed for weeks on HH Connect. Please, please order some home test kits. If you're out at the drugstore next time and don't have any, pick some up. Pick up 1 or 2 because inevitably, at some point, all of us are going to get the notification we've had an exposure. So it's important to have those on hand. If you start to develop any symptoms prior to day 5, I mean, I feel a little more tired than usual. It can be as simple as that. Feel a little tickle in my throat. Feeling a little sniffles. And what I'm hearing from residents and staff who have been infected is they thought that little sniffle didn't dawn on them to be COVID, and it ended up being COVID. So really pay attention. You know your body's best. If you feel something a little different, don't ignore it, take a test. If you don't have symptoms, day 5, you want to test. This is what's a little tricky, and I know it's frustrating, but the CDC guidance is very clear. You want to remain in mask, a well-fitted mask for a full 10 days after exposure. Even if you have tested negative on day 5, 10 days is critical because one can still develop symptoms up to 10 days after an exposure. So it is frustrating because that means technically you should not be dining with others when mask is off for food and drink up to 10 days after an exposure. I have been sharing with those of you who have contacted me to express notification of exposure. After a 5-day negative test, I am encouraging you to go outdoors because it's hard eating alone day after day after day. Go outdoors. Be where you can be distanced. Ventilation is much better. And that would be a safer place to remove your mask to eat and be able to drink with others. But be distanced at least 6 feet away and have that good ventilation. That would be an alternative if you are just hungry, food-wise and for company, to be outdoors. And certainly, if you do test positive on day 5, contact me. Or anytime if you test positive, let me know so we can talk about the accommodations that we do put in place for you. On the home test kits, again, just to remind you that the links are on HH Connect, as well as the King County has just put out a notification that I've asked for the communications team to post on HH Connect. There are more home test kit brands that have extended the expiration dates. That is just out recently. So be looking for that on HH Connect. Some of those include some of the eye health home test kit brands, Bionex and FlowFlex. So make sure you're checking your expiration dates and checking in with HH Connect to confirm. I have been writing on my home test kits with Sharpies, expiration dates and revised expiration dates. So it's visible and easy to grab the closer expired date and save those with the longer expiration dates for later. In terms of, I think we're on the next page. Yes. So if you have been notified, if you are confirmed positive, I am putting into place what I call isolation accommodations. This is to ensure you are staying hunkered down in your apartments in strict isolation. So what that means is for the period of your isolation, we are waiving meal delivery fees. We want to make sure you're getting food and beverages. At some point, you may need some garbage taken out or recycles. So in those cases, you will contact reception and they will dispatch for an EVS team member to come up and pick up garbage or recycle outside of your door. If you're expecting deliveries, please notify reception and they will be on the lookout and deliver those outside of your door. We can certainly support laundry. I know some of the apartments do not have laundry facilities and you're accustomed to going across the hall or down the hall. We do not want you doing that. So coordinate with Barbara in EVS and we are happy to have you bag up your laundry, place it outside the door and coordinate that with EVS. Happy to support that. And we would also be postponing any regular housekeeping services you have, as well as non-urgent work orders until after your isolation period to protect the staff members. So for those of you who test positive, your first eligible testing date is on day 5. I am seeing that for most of our residents and staff with this newer variants, most are still testing positive on day 5 and day 7. So if you are still positive on day 5, your next testing opportunity is on day 7. If you're still positive, then you isolate the full 10 days. So what typically the process has been is residents will email or call me and let me know of the test status. And then we talk about what that means if still positive. I put out notification to a few key staff members as to the accommodations that are now in effect for apartment XYZ. And then I update those key team members if isolation period is extended. And then we celebrate when isolation is off, as I got to do with the resident this morning. So I don't expect you to remember all of this. Just know, email or call me, and I'm happy to take you through the steps and be in touch with you through your COVID experience, which hopefully will not affect too many more of you. The other thing I do want to mention is the BA.5 variant, which is circulating. It is known to transmit very easily, very quickly. And that is why they are emphasizing the importance of testing before gatherings. I cannot emphasize that enough. So please do that and get those home test kits. In terms of a new norm, when do we finally move to a place where we can have a little more normalcy? Currently, as you well know, the virus task force has reinstated and did reinstate back in April, I believe it was, the mask mandate for the independent side of things. We are still under very strict mask mandates in assisted living per the state. In terms of independent living, we will, I assure you, we will return to a place where masks will be optional. We're not quite there yet. I will say that when the virus task force and the HAG, the health advisory group members, make that decision, I know it will not be a welcome decision by some of you. When we do arrive to that place and masks are optional, it will be up to you to make that decision. And you already are having to make those decisions when you venture outside of Horizon House, where there is not a mask mandate in the public. So it's going to be up to each of you to evaluate, what are my health risks? Am I comfortable going to the Fireside Lounge knowing others are without masks when we come to that place? Am I comfortable joining others in meetings where some may be without mask and I choose to keep my mask on? So those will be some of those judgments you will have to each decide for yourselves when we do arrive to that place. Until we do, masks are still required. I am getting calls occasionally from residents with concerns about other residents or outside guests who come in for events and don't have their mask on. We do the best we can. I know everyone is fatigued. We have signage posted. The screening kiosk emphasizes to guests about the mask mandates. Elevator signage is posted. I'm empowering each of you as we have been messaging to help each other. As staff, we cannot be everywhere, every time everyone has a mask or someone has a mask off. I know it's not comfortable, and some of you have expressed not being comfortable being that messenger. I'm happy to be a messenger if I'm available. I can't be everywhere 24/7. So I really am encouraging every one of us to gently remind each other. Even gesture, that's what I do. I know you see me coming down, and when you see me, you get those masks back up. So just gesture to each other. Accept grace and know that you're doing it in the spirit of wanting to comply and protect each other. So I hope you all will be comfortable just gesturing each other to pull the mask up until we get through the place where they are optional. And I think Devin has a question for Dorleen or from Dorleen.
Thank you for your great report. Do you have a plan to have that second booster given to us here as we did before?
So that was going to be one of my next talking points. Thank you so much, Dorleen. I'm happy to just go there for a quick moment. So we've hosted already the booster vaccines for the second boosters. So what's going to be coming, there is a lot of media focus right now on a third booster that will be available, targeting primarily the BA4, BA5 variant, and they're expecting that to start to be available around September or October. So absolutely, I will be back in touch with Bartels to see if they can return to do not only that next booster vaccine, but also our annual, don't forget, influenza vaccines. So we've got to also be mindful of influenza. I know it's long forgotten because we haven't had much influenza because of the mask use. So I anticipate that we're probably going to have a low influenza season again, certainly within Horizon House because of our mask mandate still in place. Now, the general public, we may see more influenza cases just because many of the public is not under mask mandate. So just something to be aware of as you venture outside of Horizon House as influenza season gets underway. In terms of shutdowns, visitation, I know that continues to be a concern as well. What if? I really believe we're moving to a place of living with COVID. And again, soon arriving back to a place of masks being optional on the independent living side. And I envision shutdowns will be more like that once in a while thing, like we've had in past years with influenza. Some of you who have been here longer will remember that we are required to report influenza cases to King County Public Health, and they have directed us to close down when we have had multiple influenza cases. It's been a few years, but we have had some periodic shutdowns. I liken COVID to being something similar. If we had this clear evidence of intra-community transmission taking place, where there's clear spread within the community, that would be an example of, yes, we may have to shut down temporarily. Or if we had a spike in influenza cases and clear evidence of transmission within the community between each other, yes, we would have to go into shutdown. That's where I see that happening. In terms of assisted living, the state has finally, heaven forbid, nearly 3 years later, finally have recognized the isolation, impact, and toll on our residents. So the state is very much now supporting not going into shutdown mode when we have COVID cases in long-term care settings, such as assisted living or in skilled nursing facilities. Facilities are permitted to strongly discourage visitation when we have more cases, but visitors cannot be denied the right to come in. So we are supporting visitors. We certainly will continue with the mask mandate as we are under by state up in assisted living, but visitation, even with cases up there, can still occur. I've already mentioned the vaccines, so be on the lookout. I will be reaching out to Bartels in the next couple of weeks to start getting things lined up for boosters and influenza. And I also wanted just a couple of other quick things. Monkeypox. As if we don't have enough. So monkeypox, we put out in a recent COVID communication that the virus task force will continue monitoring the monkeypox situation. As of this morning, the King County Public Health dashboards shows 91 cases of monkeypox in King County. All of those cases to date are monkeypox transmission between men to men, primarily through sexual and close intimate contact. So that is what is persistent at this time right now. The concern, so monkeypox is characterized by a rash. There are some individuals who are developing flu-like symptoms prior to an outbreak of a rash, primarily in the genitalia area. However, the rashes can appear on arms, torsos, elsewhere. The concern that is now with the public is if there are rashes on exposed areas such as the arms, especially in the summer months where there are outdoor concerts and people are crammed in together, it can be transmitted through skin-to-skin contact. So that is concern right now for the public, is if you are shoulder to shoulder at events, gatherings, that can be a source of transmission. So that is what the King County and other counties across the country are watching very closely. And we certainly will keep the community here updated as we learn of more guidance or any type of changes we would need to consider making here at the community level. But I do want to assure you we're monitoring that. And we'll certainly be providing education to our staff as well. And last thing is I want to just remind everyone that you have access to a nurse 24/7 for emergencies. There's been some recent confusion about what you can use the nurse for. The nurses have always been dispatched from assisted living, and they are intended to support you in the case of an emergency. The nurse support is not there for routine types of tasks, such as bandage changes. And that is because the state is very clear about that line we have to watch. We can't topple over to the line of providing or rendering assisted living type services in independent living apartments because it is an unregulated setting. Furthermore, from a principal perspective, the residents in assisted living are paying for those nurses. So we owe it to those residents for those nurses to be primarily present for assisted living residents, but we are happy and have been for years and continue to dispatch nurses for emergency situations or a situation where I'm not feeling right, I'm not feeling well. This is a 911 situation. That is very appropriate for you to be calling for the nurse. You've fallen, call for the nurse. You've fallen and somehow got your way up, but you have a skin tear. And I think I know I need some bandaging, or I'm not quite sure if this is serious and I should go out, call for the nurse, please. I did dispatch in late February a two-sided document that talks about all the partners we work with for support around medication management, around partnering with home care and nurse delegation, home health. For those of you who might be going in for skin biopsies or have some skin lesions and need routine bandage changes, those are clearly documented on this document that went in all your boxes in late February. If you've misplaced it, it is on HH Connect. You're welcome to call Erica Campbell or myself if you just need some extra support figuring out how do I navigate. This is what my need is going to be upcoming following a surgery perhaps or a biopsy. How can I get plugged into one of our partners for the service I'm going to need? That is what I have for you. Any questions before I bring up the next speaker? All right. Thank you so much. And I am delighted to bring up Jeff next on some food service updates.
All right. Well, welcome, everyone. All right. We on nice. So first off, as we kind of always do, we like to celebrate some of our past events. Sorry I didn't get any pictures up from the picnic the other day. It was kind of a quick turnaround on that, but I thought I'd focus on the Independence Day, 4th of July celebration this year. So you can see Oliver had some really nice decorations up. The staff got into it with some different clothes than their normal uniform, and it was a really nice event. We had about 150, 170 people come out for that event that day. So it was really nice. And next month, I'll provide some good pictures from the picnic. And to kind of piggyback off that from what Lori was saying, it really was a great event. I know there were some issues with like the sunshine and that. We were trying to address that by putting it that early in the morning. But we definitely learned a lot. So overall, I think it was a good event. We have definitely taken notes on everything that could have been better, and we will definitely work on that for next year. And we're already in the works of, kind of figuring out what's gonna be best for that. So looking forward to next year. Kind of the big news in our realm of the world the last couple of weeks. I'm sure most of you have seen the announcements that have gone out. But we unfortunately lost Barry McAllister. He has been given a wonderful promotion to a regional director position down in Texas. And so he's going to be moving his family down there and starting a new career. And, for me personally, I don't know if many of you know this, but me and Barry have worked together a long time. I was at the Space Needle for 17 years before coming to Horizon House. A lot of that was as a server, and then part of that as a manager, as Barry convinced me to cross over into that world. So Barry's been a big, mentor for me in my professional career. So I'm definitely sad to see him go, but also excited for the new opportunities and, appreciative of him and everything he's done for me and my career. And, so with that being said, obviously I'll be transitioning into the director role for dining services. Chef Steve will remain in his executive spot. However, he is being given a regional title as well. He won't be leaving or moving anywhere. He'll be still maintaining and focusing on us, but he'll be checking in on some other Morrison accounts around the area. So really good career opportunity for Chef Steve as well, and it's very well deserved. And then Oliver, which I'm very excited about too, he's going to be stepping into my role as assistant director. And so as Barry has been my mentor throughout my career, I'm really hoping that now I can kind of get Oliver under my wing and we can really help develop him and move him along in his journey as well. So definitely really excited about those moves. And then we also have Chef Ben Wetterby. He is our sous chef. We have Shayla, who's our registered dietitian. And then we have May. Everybody knows May upstairs in AL. She's our dining services coordinator up there. And May is just the glue that holds the whole department together for us and, really, really manages that and takes that on herself. So we're really appreciative. I think I have a wonderful team and very excited about the new opportunities and moving forward. So looking forward to that. And then piggybacking off that, we've been doing our sit-down dinners the last 3 to 4 weeks on Tuesday nights. And, as we were saying, we've gotten some new servers on. They're doing a fantastic job. We've gotten a couple more cooks hired on as well. And so we're able to expand that from Tuesday to Monday through Thursday starting next week. So you'll see that coming out in the menu packet later today. We're really excited to have that. Reservations are open. We definitely recommend making reservations for these sit-down dinners and lunches as well. It just helps kind of organize the day and the night and make sure everybody gets served in a timely fashion and all that kind of stuff. Also remember, the nights that we do have the sit-down dinners, we won't have the buffet-style service. So please be aware of that. You can still order your food for pickup or delivery through the bistro like we've always kind of done in the past. We will continue doing the buffet style services on Friday nights for the prime rib and Saturday and Sunday for brunch and dinner. We feel that while we've been doing these buffets, a lot of residents do like that. So we feel it's a good opportunity to kind of have a hybrid model of doing both and providing, the different opportunities for all the different residents that like sit down or like coming through and picking a little bit of each thing off the buffet line and getting it right then. So definitely looking forward to that. The bistro special, when we are doing sit-down dinners, will be back in the bistro like we've been doing on Tuesdays. And we will be keeping the bistro open until 6 p.m. on those days. So Monday through Thursday, bistro will be open until 6 p.m. All right. And I think that's all I have for me. And next was Eli with some campus improvements. Thank you.
Thanks. Was that applause for me or for Jeff? We'll assume it was for me, or I will assume it's for me. So yes, our our favorite topic, campus improvements, I think, or what I think residents like to refer to as resident disruption. Beginning with, what's the first one? It's the Sky Lounge, yes, the Reclad project. All right, the Sky Lounge is still available for use after 3:30 p.m. As far as it being available 24/7, that will happen, we believe, August 6th. Okay, so the reason why it's been delayed recently, I think as Mike had already mentioned, is that the roller shades that we've been waiting on forever finally arrived, and FedEx apparently damaged them. So we're blaming FedEx this time. And as far as why is the Sky Lounge off, why can't we just reopen it and then take it offline again once the roller shades arrive, is because there were some tandem tasks that we were hoping to do in parallel with the roller shade installation. And unfortunately, those subcontractors are available now, and we want to take advantage of them being available now. And so that's why the Sky Lounge is still offline, even though the roller shades haven't arrived yet. Let's see. The next project would be the Anderson Hall refresh. Fortunately, everything is smooth sailing for now. We're still on track. Probably the two key items that may push out our finish dates would be the wood ceiling. Right now, we seem to be doing just fine, but with supply chain disruption, there's a little bit of uncertainty of, whether or not that product will actually arrive on time. I think it's important to just mention upfront now, many, many months in advance, that the ceiling speakers will likely not be installed when we reopen that project. Okay, they probably won't arrive until January. We'll have some temporary solution in place, of course, but I just want to put that out there now so that nobody's surprised when November comes around and we're wondering, wow, these are different looking speakers that don't look properly designed. Well, that's why. It's just supply chain disruption. And then finally, the Central Tower and East Tower corridors. Right now, the backbone work is underway for running the new electrical up the spine of the building. We're also entering resident apartments beginning with the 17th floor. And we are already 3 days behind. We just started this on Monday. So 4 days later, we're now 3 days behind. And why? Well, apparently, one of the key contractors has COVID. His replacement wasn't vaccinated, so we sent him away. And we're now waiting for somebody else to appear on Monday. This is the situation that we're in with the construction industry. There was an increase of new job openings in the construction world by, I think, 21%. So the amount of jobs that are now available for new hires is 20% more today than it was just 1 year ago. However, the number of people who are interested in entering the construction field has decreased. So we're just in this very odd situation where the construction industry is just not getting the labor force that it wants. And then also the construction costs are at an all-time high. So this is the world that we're living in. Something else worth mentioning is that a couple of residents asked me to explain, well, how are the different projects organized here at Horizon House? Because there are a lot of different projects going on. Obviously, we have a renovations department where we have good project managers like Ana Aguilar and John Roberts. These are project managers that address the 20 to 60 apartment renovations we do every single year. And then they have Patrick Nance, who is their project coordinator. He kind of helps them. And so a lot of times residents will get information from Patrick, notifications of different noise notices. Other projects that we have going on are the master planning projects that are meant to address the marketability, the immediate marketability of Horizon House, such as Anderson Hall. Others are more of an infrastructure upgrade, such as the never-ending reclad project on the roof here around the Sky Lounge. And then also, well, we would consider the central tower upgrades, the thermostat replacement also as one of those infrastructure upgrades. For something like that, in order to manage risk, there's a lot more thought that puts into the contract negotiations. That's something that I manage, and we have Lauren Charbonneau, who liaises as the construction liaison. She helps liaise between the construction activity and the residents and the staff that these construction activities disrupt. So I hope that kind of paints a picture. Obviously, there's much more detail regarding, a project org chart. You've got a general contractor. For instance, this is coming on the heels. Me mentioning this is on the heels of somebody asking, well, who are all these strange people who need to enter my apartment to do all these different tasks? They're not Horizon House employees. Well, that's right. We have Anderson Construction, our general contractor. They have a subcontractor, Hermanson. Hermanson was the one who got COVID, by the way. And then Hermanson has a subcontractor, Long. And these are the various parties. And not to mention that there's also a painter, Washington Painting Company is the painter that's coming in. Oh, and also First Line, who comes in and does the patching and, the patching of the drywall. So we have all these different parts that are being expertly managed, and it's what's the expression? It's just from the lack of availability, I guess, of subcontractors arriving on time and their labor force not being sick. That has been the greatest hurdle recently. And then lastly, I just want to remind everybody that we have a comment box that if ever you want to ask an anonymous question, feel free to drop it in the comment box, which is located down the corridor there, just 40 feet away from where I'm standing now. And if you want to remain anonymous, and I can read it and maybe address it at the Fireside chat if it seems like something that's worth everybody knowing, or if you would like me to just contact you personally, just be sure to indicate that in your comments. All right. Well, thank you all very much. The next is Joan with communications, or Charlene. Oh, there's a question. Yes, Jean.
I thought that comment box was only about the architectural drawing. Okay, about the architectural drawings that are up on the wall.
Oh,
Are they comments about anything that should be addressed to you?
I would say anything that's related to campus improvements, even if it's related to apartment renovations. The comment box is something that Lauren and I check on frequently to see what the mood is of the residents. And and I'm actually very appreciative of the compliments. So feel free to use the comment box also for compliments. Anything else? Okay. All right. So Joan Hudson, welcome.
Eli? Mask.
Well, good morning, everyone. And good morning to those of you watching from home. I have a few varied things to talk about communication-wise. But first of all, can anybody tell me who's in the photo on the screen? Deborah Carr. Okay, who can identify what that scene is and what is being sung? It's The King and I, and the song is, okay, I'm no singer, me. Getting to know you, join in if you'd like. Getting to know you, getting to know all about you, getting to like you, getting to hope you like me. Suddenly Oops, wait a minute. Haven't you noticed? Suddenly I'm bright and breezy because of all the beautiful and new things I'm learning about you day by day. You're great. They can give me the hook. So I'm no singer, but that's just a little intro to something that I'm calling the Communications Corner. I just started it this week, and I'm just inviting folks to drop by. I plant myself in an obvious spot and welcome people to stop by and chat with me informally. This is a casual thing. I want to keep it up. My very first one was Tuesday, and I think most of the people stopped by because Eli was standing next to me. And everybody knows Eli, right? So it's a way, for me to get out of the office. It's not a meeting. It's just a chance to continue to get to know you a little bit better. And they will be announced in the alert in the announcement section. So please, love to get to know you better. Okay, so it seems like I am always talking about technology. And that's because increasingly communication is happening through technology platforms. Now, some of you have seen this diagram before. So on one end, this is what I call the technology continuum at Horizon House. So some of you really love technology and you're early adapters. You're the hearts, okay? On the other end are those that really don't give a hoot. Don't give a hoot. And then the arrow represents everybody that's in between. Okay. So let's have a show of hands. Who's a heart? All right. Right. Eli, you don't count. Who's an owl? Okay. We're having a few people admitting to be owls. And then there's who's an in-betweener? Yeah. Most people. What I want to reiterate with that graphic is the fact that we realize this. We realize that we have a continuum of different people here at Horizon House that best receive information in different ways. And you need to not be afraid that you're going to miss some information, because not only do we put it on different platforms and paper, we're redundant. We usually put things in more than one place. So that said, I just want to move along to another graphic that might be familiar to you. Okay, this is the K4 graphic. Okay, who can tell me what K4 is? Yeah, you don't count, Emily. Okay, here's somebody here. Okay, I'm glad you answered the way you did, because remember, K4 is a company. And the company, just like GE makes refrigerators and dishwashers, K4 makes tech tools for senior communities. So at Horizon House, we use HHTV, digital signage that you see all over the place. In your apartments, you can have Echo Dots and ask Alexa questions that it can answer. And then we have the mobile app. Okay. Mobile app is like having a little computer in your pocket. It can be seen on smartphones, tablets, but also on computer. So why am I talking about this? Well, because the training wheels are rolling. We have, as of today, about 130 new users of the mobile app. So we're getting, with people that were already on it, we're getting up to about 200 users of the app, which is great news. So it means that you're not as owlish as maybe you thought you were. So there are more and more people adopting it, but you don't have to. Remember, it's optional. I would like to thank especially a huge shout out to Emily Wallace, who has been involved with K4 since the beginning. as part of the K4 project team with IT. And she has conducted 5 classroom training sessions, so around about 70 people. So I just want to thank her for her ability not only to lead the classes, but to help anybody who stops by her office with a K4 question. And she loves doing that, so don't hesitate. Right, Emily? I'd like to give her a big hand. I'd also like to thank the resident tech committee volunteers. Dave Shoup, our chair, Deanna Nelson, who helped him with the organization of getting one-to-one training for residents, particularly those with computers who don't have something portable that they could take to a class. This group went to them, and they trained around 50 residents. And so that's Deanna Nelson, Jim Hitter, Scott Lunke, Alice Melanie, Adele Reynolds, and Ginny Stimson. So thank you to them. Honestly, we could have not have gotten as far as we got without them. So it's much appreciated. Okay, so let's review. Why would you want to use the K4 app? Again, you don't have to. May not be your cup of tea. But it displays, the K4 app will display your dining balances. It will display your resident service charges. It provides an easy directory where you can look anybody up right on your phone or tablet to be able to call them. You can see the food menu, just the food, not, sometimes all the other extra information that the menu gives you is nice. But if you just want to know what's for lunch, you can look at the app and just get that. And soon, Emily will be adding the pricing to the menu items so that you will know what everything costs. You'll be the first to see important notices. So if there are elevator outages or something goes wrong, because it's so easy, because it's an integrated system, we can easily put up a notice about something that's gone wrong. And then you can easily check Horizon House information while you're away, particularly if you have a smartphone or a tablet and you want to check some event and you're at your children's or grandchildren's house. It's easy to do. So those are some of the reasons why you might want to consider it. Okay, the training wheels are still rolling. We conducted our very first classroom session with Alexa, learning to use Alexa. And I really want to thank Mary Kenny and Ginny Stimson, who lead the Low Vision and Hearing Challenge group, for gathering people together. We had about 11 folks from that group to learn about how to use Alexa. And I have to say, Emily and I don't know about the people in the class, but Emily and I had a blast. It was more fun. People kept trying to trick Alexa, ask her questions that couldn't be answered. We did a lot of practice. There are a lot of good questions and answers. So if you think you might want to use Alexa or want to use it better, we are going to have continuing sessions. Just look for an announcement from Emily in the alert going forward. We haven't set a schedule yet, but we'd like to do so soon. And why use Alexa? Again, you decide. You can get all the Horizon House information like events, meals, latest announcements simply by asking Alexa. You don't have to read anything or have a paper. So for those who might be having some vision challenges, it's particularly useful. Okay, let's move right along on our potpourri. The next topic is publications. So I'm thrilled to announce that the July 2022 directory is in your mailboxes. You can go pick it up right after the meeting, and it has become a New York Times bestseller. I don't know if you know that, but it makes for fascinating reading. And again, this is my shout out to Emily Day. She did a great job with kind of reorganizing and, getting rid of some duplicate information. And I think it's much more readable now. So thanks again, Emily. I think it's the best ever. Okay, then I'm also thrilled to announce that the 2021 annual report has been shortlisted for the Booker Prize. Not. Okay, annual reports are weird animals. They're a ton of work. Nobody reads them, but you got to do them. So they usually come out about a month earlier, but it was my first go around. It will be the first time that we send it out to everybody on our prospective resident waiting list. Because what I tried to do is give a little bit of a flavor for Horizon House and what makes this place unique. So there are different features this time around. There'll be a copy in the library. There'll be some in the mailroom, and I'll be sending it out via a link. But take a look at that. And I'd like to thank especially John and Sally Wren, Joan and Ed Singler, and Louise Alvarez for their participation in the report. There's some interesting things about them. Okay, to close it off, Ripley's Believe It or Not. Everybody knows what this is, right? So sometimes Ripley Believe It or Not were true, and sometimes they were false, and you had to decide whether you believe it. Next slide. HHTV is fixed. HHTV is fixed, believe it or not. Okay, first bullet. Well, I'm a secular humanist, and there was no sound. Okay, no sound, so it's not fixed. Well, that's not HHTV. We've discovered, the royal we, tech has discovered that I can't even get into the technical explanation, but it has to do with signals from our AV infrastructure to the TVs. And the signal was having some problems getting where it needed to get. And so that is being addressed, and that should not happen anymore. And it will involve some routine maintenance. Okay, next is DVD didn't play. Okay, well, that happened to be a new staff person operator error. Now, when a DVD doesn't play, and generally wait 5 minutes and they'll get it rescheduled to play, right? So not HHTV problem. Writer's Read didn't play. Okay, that again wasn't HHTV. It was the fact that Writer's Read used to be at 7 and it got changed to 7:30. But in our system where we schedule everything, oops, a placeholder got left at 7. So it played early, but you can still see it on our YouTube channel. So not HHTV. Last thing that happened, a movie played with no subtitles. That is not HHTV. You may be interested to know that lots of DVDs don't have subtitles, which is the case, I believe, the movie was The Station Agent, which was a fabulous movie, but no subtitles. So not an HHTV problem. So as you can see, my statement is true. It's true for now. Okay. It's true. We hope forever. Well, that's about it, folks, for me. I'd now like to introduce Jeff Graham and Ruth Ann Ford, who'd like to tell you about Partners in Caring.
Well, it's good to be here today. And if my face looks like somebody shot me, it's because I went to my dermatologist yesterday. Happens to us at this age. As we know, we had the ice cream social a few weeks ago. It was a great day, a nice hot day, and had some wonderful time. I'm not certain, but are some pictures showing up here now? Oh, good. And I think we can go through those slowly and then tell me when they're finished because I can't see them. And I can say that outside Charlene's office, there is an album and there are many pictures in there. So you might stop by and see some of your pictures. She has a lot of great ones. That was a very good photographer. She got me smiling a few times. So that was helpful. You got them? Good. Thanks. Well, this has been a good year so far for Partners in Caring. We now have had $375,000 to the campaign. I think what I've mentioned before, other people have spoken to me that they plan to give later. Sometimes they want to know how much the required minimal distribution is, and that might be giving at that time. We also want to honor those Horizon House residents who, in their legacy plans, the endowment has been increased by $2 million this year. That's pretty good. So this is to support our residents' assistance, our staff scholarships, and the GEM grants. And I want to report we've done so far this year. $270,000 has been used to support our residents in need, $26,000 for staff scholarships, and $25,000 is awarded for the GEM grants to review for projects initiated by our staff and residents. That's just great. Yeah. Now we're going for another round of GEM grants, and the deadline for to get the applications in by September 8th. The committee are Les Cox, Margaret King, Carol Ottenberg, Margie Perdue, and Joan Singler. So we'll be reviewing those and be giving results after that time. So if you have any questions, feel free to stop by and talk to either Charlene or Ruth Ann. So they'll help either if you want to give a gift or a pledge, or also they have the applications for the GEM grants. I think the applications are also on HH Connect, because I was looking for one, and I think they're there. So, and now Ruth Ann, are you here? There you are to tell us who's receiving things this year.
Thank you, Jeff. Hello, everybody. Good morning. If you can just go back one slide, please. Thank you. I'll just talk a little bit more about GEM grants and our upcoming deadline for September 8th. As you know, my name's Ruth Ann. I work with Charlene in the philanthropy department, and I help to manage the GEM grant program, along with our resident GEM committee, who consists of Les Cox, Margaret King, Carol Ottenberg, Margie Perdue, and Joan Sigler. Now, GEM grants are for projects that make resident and staff life just a little bit brighter. And for our last cycle, there were several grants written, and not all were awarded, but 9 were, and we awarded about $25,000. A couple of those grants were a quilting machine and a bridge dealer, and also a unique item, which was a mannequin torso for Erica Campbell to use to help for occupational therapy, to help people learn to dress again. So really unique projects, and I really encourage you to think about what your resident council group might need to really help make your hobby a little bit nicer. We really want a great variety of applications. So again, a total of $25,000 is available, and we want to spend that money. So contact me or a member of the GEM committee with your idea. And so after you talk to me about your idea or a member of the GEM committee, we can offer you the application. We like to have that conversation just to make sure that your idea is not something that Horizon House should be paying for already. Sometimes there's a little bit of a gray area about what is an appropriate GEM grant. And we don't want you to go through the work of writing the GEM application before we have a talk. Okay, thank you very much. And thank you. And I'll introduce Brian. Thanks.
Thank you, Ruth Ann. The uniqueness of Horizon House with this opportunity for the GEM grants are exciting for us to hear about. Jeff, your and Karen's leadership that has shown, and the way that Charlene and Ruth Ann connect with our community. It just an example how Horizon House is an amazing community with our philanthropy efforts. So I was going to talk about safety and security. As Mike had mentioned, it's an ongoing conversation that we have. And so as a reminder, all of our perimeter doors are secured at all times. And our main entrance up there at the vestibule, sometimes when you approach that door, the glass doors will just, open because of the motion sensor. And we're reminding everybody that we want to have it where it requires your key to come through that door. So that door is secured. So remember to bring your key. We remind staff and the caregivers that door, we should not see it just automatically open as you walk up. So there is an intercom there. If, I forgot my key, I can engage with the person at the reception center, be it security or reception staff, to be able to do that. And so another big reminder is if you ever do lose your Horizon House card key, to let the reception center know as soon as possible so that we can take the necessary steps to ensure that that key doesn't get into somebody else's hand, because then they can get through all of our perimeter doors. And we want to make sure that we do all the appropriate things to prevent that. And again, if you forget your key and you need to get into your apartment, the reception center can make you a temporary key. It's one of those little red ones instead of the green ones that color coded that says temporary on it. And so they put a timeline on that one. And so just return it back to the reception center after you've used it to get your other regular permanent key. As we're in the city setting and we have many entrances that come into the community, and it's such a fantastic community. We talk about at Fireside Chat all the amazing things. Of course, outside people want to come in here, but sometimes they're the wrong people that we don't want to come in here. And so be mindful when you enter and exit, making sure that we want to be gracious and hold the doors open for people, but it needs to be people that belong here. Especially down on E level, we have the ADA doors, and they take a little bit of time to close for those of us that need that with mobility devices. So we ask that you keep an eye on those doors as we enter or exit those areas. And again, I talked about the main entry, those glass doors that slide. And so as we exit, they'll open automatically. And so we just want to be mindful of that space as well. If we drive at our garage entrances that we have, we ask that you're in your vehicle, that you keep an eye to make sure somebody doesn't try to scoot in that's unwanted. And if they do, if you have a cell phone, you can safely call the reception center and notify us, and we'll send the appropriate staff to follow up. And when it comes to your apartment, I know sometimes we feel comfortable to leave the doors ajar and things like that, but that creates a vulnerability for you that we can't control as well as we'd like to. And so we ask that you keep your doors secured so that we don't have anybody unwanted coming into your apartments. We do have the kiosks that we have in the lobby. We have one down at the loading dock and at the university garage. And so just remind that when you have visitors that they use that and that they sign in, and they would select you as a host. And they will have an adhesive badge that shows us that there's somebody that should be here and that has their name on it. Our contractors do that as well. All of us staff go through the kiosk also as part of our COVID screening, but it doesn't print us a badge. So thus we'll be wearing the badges that the company issues us. So if you see somebody without a badge, you can help out by letting somebody at the desk know or ask if they need directions to see where they need to be. I'm going to talk a little bit about Terry Street. Some of you may have noticed that off on Terry Street over here to the north of us, unfortunately, that there is an encampment area there that has been there for quite some time. I have reported that numerous times to the city, as has some of our residents have reported that as well. And so the way that the city tells us the most rapid way to make these reports is through an app called Find It, Fix It. And so a couple residents have done that. Thank you. I have done it several times, and I get a response from the city. And then there are so many encampments. It may feel a little frustrating for us because it's maybe a boilerplate response that they're aware and they're doing the best they can, and that we've notified them. However, if you have a smartphone and you want to put the app on your phone, you can certainly report it as well. Perhaps with numerous more of us reporting it, maybe they'll get more attention. And so, so we're aware of the encampment over there, also the apartment next door, where their garbage is, has been gotten into, and they actually this week put barbed wire up around their fencing. And so I have been in contact with the Willis apartment managers, and we're certainly collaborating with them, and we'll be putting up some new fencing over there. So safety and security is always at the forefront of our mind. There are so many others besides me that can keep an eye on safety and security here, the staff and the residents, and certainly alert. The best way is to let the reception center know, and they know who to contact if we have something that happens or you see something that doesn't look right. Deanna, you had a question? We'll wait. Charlene's going to scoot over with a microphone.
Regarding the front doors, Brian, very often they open as I approach, and I just assume that the staff saw me, recognized me, and opened the doors for me. So what you're saying is that isn't the case. They're opening on the sensor.
Perhaps they're opening it when they recognize you. We're doing some retraining that we really don't want to do that practice. And it seems like an inconvenience, but it's more inconvenient if the wrong individual gets in the building.
Absolutely. I agree. I would prefer they didn't do that. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for your understanding. We understand it's a convenience for you, but this is the way it is in the community to make sure it's safe. So, okay, well, Valerie's up next, my fellow Seahawk and Mariner fan. We're looking forward to that. DK just got signed to an extension, and KJ and all that stuff. But better than that, you get to introduce new residents.
Where's Jeff Townley? He is a Broncos fan, and he already has a Russell Wilson jersey. So if you will all join me when we play the Broncos and giving him a bad time. It's my pleasure to see all your smiling faces and to introduce a couple new residents. First, we have Mimi Richards. Back, she's here. Mimi was born in New York City and attended Los Gatos High School, Bellevue College, and Loft Flight School. She is a volunteer for the Puget Sound Blood Center, Bailey Boucher House, and Jubilee Women's Center, and is a member of Pacific Northwest Ballet. Mimi enjoys traveling, the arts, physical activities, and going on adventures with friends and family. Welcome, Mimi. And Susan Underwood. Susan was born in Asteria, Oregon, and graduated from Portland State with a degree in political science. She worked for several agencies over a 30-year career as a federal employee, including the Environmental Protection Agency, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Federal Aviation Administration. Susan belongs to the American Quilt Study Group, Northwest Horticultural Society, Northwest Perennial Society, and historical museums in both Oregon and Washington. She enjoys gardening, cooking, genealogy, textile history, and Western history. Welcome, Susan. And next up is Celerina to introduce new staff.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Glad to see you all. I won't take too much of your time. I know we've been up here for a minute, but I want to let you guys know that HR, we have been fairly busy getting more staff into Horizon House to assist us, whether that's in food services or in assisted living. And so I just want to thank every department manager and director because it is a collaborative effort. And so for our new hires, I'll go ahead and announce those. So first we have Isaiah Gartrell Ferris, who is joining assisted living as an elder care assistant. And next we have Lisa Watson, who was also going to be in assisted living as an elder care assistant. And if I can have Andrew to wave, Andrew Harris. Everyone, I want you to see Andrew Harris. This is our new sales manager for the marketing team. I hope you all have had the chance to get to know him, or you get the chance to know him. And then is Andrew Hill? Hi, Andrew. We have another Andrew that's joined us. He just started yesterday. And so Andrew Hill is actually going to be our new wellness director. Do I have any residents that do the workout classes downstairs? Yeah, so now here's your new director. And one thing to know, he used to work with Ryan. And so now you guys will be able to get to know him. I'm pretty sure you guys are going to enjoy him. And then for food services, we have Brandy Bratt, who is joining as a server. We have Eloise Ishmael, who is also going to be a server. And then Esperanza Herrera. So she actually used to work for us before as a server, and now she's come back to us to be a cook. And then again, for assisted living, we have Jamie Zuby. He is actually going to be an elder care assistant. And last but definitely not least is Laura Celine, who has joined EVS as a housekeeper. And I will be actually going downstairs to onboard another new hire. And so I'm going to make sure we keep getting them in there for you guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, Hilarina. Well, these meetings remind us how many staff people are working on your behalf to make it all work. And it really is a collective effort. And I think everybody really works well as a team here. So they deserve our applause and our recognition for the work that they do. And I want to call out Jeff again in food service. And I'm really pleased at his promotion and taking over where Barry left off. You know, sometimes I get, comments about when people don't like something about food service, they think it's Morrison. We as them, they as us. We really work together. This is, whatever issues you have, if something's not right in food service, 9 times out of 10, it's a conversation with Lori or me about it, because it's not Morrison. Morrison is acting on our behalf. I think they do a great job. I am grateful for Morrison, notwithstanding the challenges that we have. So I really do support them. And I think that as we're able to do more sit-down dining, get back to a little bit of normalcy, we're all going to feel a little bit better about the experience and the quality of the food. So there's that. And let's see, what do we got here? Some announcements here. Okay, so Pride in the list in assisted. Whoops, let me get them out of order here. The Pride Parade. Do we have a picture of that somewhere? Small. I'm going to my name on the tab here. Okay, all right. It's kind of hard, a little goofy here. Well, we had that parade. That was fun. That was lively. These activities is what gets us together, realize we're all in this together, having fun and recognizing people for the work they do and the experiences that they have. We had our all-staff meeting last week, I think it was, on Wednesday. And, we need to get together with our staff more, because sometimes it's just like with residents. If you're not getting together and you're not seeing each other and you're not having the experience, then you get distant from the community. And that's the same thing with our staff. And we haven't had a lot of in-person staff meetings for obvious reasons. It's been great to get that back together so that people can recognize that we recognize their hard work and communicate your satisfaction to staff. We're not going to have a fireside chat in August. We'll be back in September. And of course, you get the CEO report. Now, since everybody is getting an award for the phone book got an award and whatever else, I want you to know the CEO report is going for the Caldecott Award. Okay, so we'll see if we get there, but I'm going to give it a try. It's one other way in which you can stay connected. I do want to mention that the farmers market is going to be off today because of the heat. So, don't go out there and look for the farmers market. They're going to close it off. We also have our small group sessions that are going to begin on the Tuesday, August 2nd, 10 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. And then again, Wednesday, August 3rd, 9 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. It is a limited seating. We really encourage you to show up. We'll have a couple of things that we'll cover just as a part of an agenda, but really it is your chance to have a conversation with those of us that participate and ask the questions so that we can be as upfront and honest. And we appreciate it when you're there because it helps us stay in touch with what the issues are. So get your RSVP in, and we'll talk a little bit about inflation again, a little bit more on resident expectations, do some Q&A, and hopefully that is just one more way in which we stay plugged in. And I think that's it. Is that right? We are good. Thank you. Sorry we ran over, but glad to see you all. So I didn't have all the completes.
It was at the front there.
Oh, I skipped over it.
That's okay. We got it.